Hello there, I Aishwarya welcome you all to this episode of Science Monitor. This weekly show brings to you the most significant news from the world of science, technology, innovation, research, discoveries and much more. Let us get started with this week's headlines. Botanical Survey of India showcases discovery of new species of plants at an exhibition at the India International Centre. Shanti Swaroop Bhatnagar Prize for Physical Sciences 2017 awarded to Dr. Vinay Gupta for his contributions in developing low-cost solar cells. Wildlife Institute of India develops protocols to identify fake and real tiger claws. CMS Vatavaran International Environment and Wildlife Film Festival organized to create awareness on water conservation and climate change. The Botanical Survey of India, or the BSI, under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, is responsible for documentation and conservation of plant species in our country. At a recent exhibition held at the India International Centre in New Delhi, BSI showcased discovery of new plant species. We bring you a comprehensive report on the findings of the Botanical Survey of India and their relevance in understanding the biodiversity and the ecosystem functioning in our country.
India has diverse geographical features, including the lofty Himalayas, the plateaus in the Vindhyan ranges, western and eastern Ghats, foothills of Assam, the alluvial plains of North India and the lower terrains of southern India. Though it is widely assumed that the biological resources of our country have been thoroughly explored, recent research shows that our knowledge of biodiversity is still very limited. Continuous surveys and explorations of these areas yield many useful species, which has a great potential to use in form of food plants, traditional drugs, cosmetics and fibers. Botanical Survey of India, or the BSI, is the premier research organization under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, responsible for keeping a record and sustainable utilization and conservation of these species. BSI is engaged in documenting plant diversity from various ecosystems ranging from the high-altitude cold deserts to the hot and humid coastlands. An exhibition showcasing the discovery of new plant species was being put up by the Botanical Survey of India at the Indian International Centre, New Delhi.
We have experts who can identify any plant brought from any part of the country, and they can tell you what is its scientific name. So that is one of the major job of Botanical Survey of India. At the same time, we also try to assess whether there is a depletion in those resources, whether plants are reducing in number or whether their population is stable or not.
Botanical Survey of India took an initiative to publish the plant discoveries made last year in a book called Plant Discoveries 2016. In 2016 alone, more than 206 species have been published as new to science, and 113 species have been recorded for the first time in our country. Many newly discovered plants such as amomum or the wild cardamom, Barleria zingiberg, the wild ginger, impatiens or balsam, Pleuronthus or the wild amla, along with 62 fungi, 32 lichens, 26 algae and 50 microbes have a great potential for pharmacological screening for new drugs, foods and other uses. Rhododendron is one such unique wildflower whose new species is being discovered every year. It is the most beautiful wildflower discovered in the history of floristic diversity. Rhododendron is derived from the Greek word rhodo, meaning rose, and dendron, meaning tree. Majority of the species of rhododendron are found in the temperate and alpine forest. Many species of this wildflower are used in local medicines and burned as incense in monasteries and at homes. Besides this, many rhododendron wine, squashes, and juices are also being prepared from the only edible flower of these species, Rhodo arboreum. Recent explorations in different biogeographic regions have revealed many and more novelties, whether new to science or an advanced breed of the pre-existing species.
So now everything is online. Internet is helping a lot. And in fact, computer revolution has helped taxonomy, the science which we are practicing the science which helps us in identifying. So this has helped in plant taxonomy and botany in general to a great extent. But still, you see, if you have to find anything new, you have to still go to the field, you have to go to the wild. So that is still a adventure, a part of I would say whole process of knowing anything known or unknown. So that is also something which keeps us as a scientist close to the nature.
Exploration of natural heritage always reveals amazing insights of the plants and animal life. It's not only been useful to plant taxonomists or biologists who specializes in the classification of organisms, but also to many policymakers in implementing policies for the conservation of rich biodiversity in our country.
This year's Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize for Physical Sciences has been awarded to Dr. Vinay Gupta at the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, National Physical Laboratory in New Delhi for developing new materials for making cost-effective solar cells. This innovation has the potential to help India to achieve objectives laid by the National Solar Mission 2010, which aims to deploy 20,000 megawatt of grid-connected solar power by 2022 by reducing the cost of solar power generation. Science Monitor brings you this special report.
One of the Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar prizes in the field of physical sciences this year has been awarded to Dr. Vinay Gupta at the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, National Physical Laboratory in New Delhi for his valuable contributions for developing new materials to make low-cost solar cells and other energy devices such as OLEDs or organic light-emitting diodes. Solar energy is being used for nearly 6 decades now. It has become a reality because of the numerous discoveries made since the early 18th century. In 1839, French scientist Edmond Becquerel discovered the photovoltaic effect. He observed that certain materials generate weak voltage when light falls on them. Almost 40 years later, 3 scientists, Willoughby Smith, William Grayles Adams, and Richard Evans Day, found that a material called selenium converts light energy to electricity. After almost a century of research, the first solar cells were made in 1953 using an element named silicon. It could harness solar energy for generating electricity, but it was expensive and had poor efficiency of only 15 to 20%. Since then, scientists all over the world are trying to develop materials to make cheaper and better solar cells. The SS Bhatnagar Award for 2017 has been conferred to Dr. Vinay Gupta, who has spent 2 decades in finding the solution to this problem. He is credited with the discovery of new materials for making cheaper and efficient solar cells.
This is the highest award in our area to be given in India, and for me to get it's like a dream come true. And I think I'm thankful that the expert in the country recognizes my work, and they awarded me with this award. And I'm very hopeful that after getting this award, I think I will definitely strive for more excellence. And this is a kind of encouragement and boost for the scientists to achieve more higher goals. So I'm really feeling very great about it.
Solar energy is a clean renewable resource, and the government under the National Solar Mission aims to increase the installed capacity for solar power to 20 gigawatts and bring down its cost. But solar cells made from silicon are expensive. Dr. Vinay Gupta's group has made solar cells from material called graphene quantum dots, which can bring down the price of solar cells significantly. Graphene quantum dots are made from tens and hundreds of 10 to 30 nanometer thin sheets of graphene. Graphene is made of regular repeating carbon atoms arranged in hexagonal pattern. To make these cells, he placed the new material between 2 electrodes. When sunlight falls on the cell, free negatively charged electrons are discharged from the material, enabling conversion to electricity.
We have an energy problem in India, and we have to resolve the energy problem. And the issue is that how we can do it in a cost-effective way. So we were striving to make solar cells which are cost-effective. One of the first work that we started doing was on graphene quantum dot. We realizing that it is very important to find cost-effective solar cells. So we should use material that are less costly. So we targeted some carbon material. So graphene quantum dot has come out to be the best material to be used in solar cell, and we were able to show very high efficiency with the graphene quantum dot solar cell, and we could get a very high impact factor publication with that.
After finding new materials to make cheaper solar cells, Dr. Vinay Gupta now aims to make them durable and long-lived. At present, the available solar cells work efficiently for 1 to 2 years only. Now his focus is to improve solar cells significantly in the future so that they could be part of every household in the country.
It's time for a short break here, but when we return, we take a look at how the Wildlife Institute of India is developing protocols to identify animal parts in its fight against illegal wildlife trade and strengthen prosecution cases. Don't go anywhere.
Basic work is on to understand the neural mechanism of REM sleep regulation, means how does the brain regulate it, and then what is the function of this REM sleep. Generally, it is believed, and experimentally it has been found mostly, dreams during REM sleep you remember, others you don't. The sleep is disturbed, most of the functions get disturbed in our body, and the quantum and quality might vary.
Watch Eureka with Dr. Birendranath Malik, Professor at Neurobiology Department in the School of Life Sciences, JNU, only on Rajya Sabha TV.
Welcome back. After the break, you're watching Science Monitor. Identifying seized wildlife parts like a tiger and leopard claws is a great challenge because of the large number of different species in the illegal wildlife trade. It is important to correctly identify an animal part, not only to know the origin of the species, but is also crucial for the judiciary in implementing wildlife protection laws. Now, scientists at the Wildlife Institute of India, Dehradun, have developed standard protocols to differentiate between fake and real claws of tiger and leopards. Take a look at this interesting report from our team at Science Monitor.
There is a huge demand of animal parts and products in the international market, which results in illegal wildlife trade. Animal parts like tiger claws, tiger skin, elephant ivory, musk pods, bear bile and rhino horns are precious items, as they are used for making expensive pendants, sculptures, item of religious worship and in traditional Chinese medicine. The intense surveillance and tight vigil by wildlife enforcement agencies aims to prevent their illegal trade. To circumvent this, traders try to sell fake wildlife items in international market. Tiger claws are one of the products which mostly come out as fake. The wildlife laws enforcement agencies need to identify if the tiger claws are fake or real for judicial purposes. But there is a problem. Fake articles bear a strong similarity to the original ones in terms of shape and size. The situation becomes even worse due to the unavailability of a standard protocol for identifying animal species correctly.
One of the mandates of this Wildlife Institute of India is to provide a good support to the different enforcement agencies dealing with the most of the wildlife poaching cases or the wildlife offences. When we started the working on this problem, we realized that one of the high demand of the claws of the different cats are there in the international market. We got a number of the cases at the institute, and since there were no good protocols were available, and we thought let's develop the protocol for this one, and we took the initiative for this one. For any enforcement officer, whether it's a police or from the forest officer, he should make a spot decision whether these claws are of a real claws of a cat or there are fake claws which are floating in the market.
Earlier, scientists would examine the morphological or the external shape and structure of the claw. The claws of a tiger have evolved through the evolutionary process, making them strong enough to hold a prey heavier than its body weight. Therefore, the real claws of tiger are expected to be very strong and powerful, which might not be the case with the fake claws. Another method is to scan the claws under X-rays. The researchers found that the real claws have differential deposition of keratin in them. Therefore, X-ray images of each claw were obtained to visualize the density. In the images of the tiger and leopard claws, the bone ungual phalanx appears white in color, while the keratinous claw sheath appears whitish to grey, indicating varying density. These characteristics were missing in the fake claws, which are made from cattle and buffalo horns. The report has been published in the journal Elsevier Forensic Science International Volume 266.
I strongly believe that evolution has been a very, very stronger force, and nature is so great that nobody can create a exactly replica of the real one or nature which has been evolved through the adaptation.
Identifying the species of origin of a material is crucial for the judiciary for implementing wildlife protection laws effectively. Although preliminary identification of fake claws through physical features is possible, DNA-based analysis is more precise. It can help identify the animal species correctly. This is because there are certain regions in the genome which are conserved amongst members of a species. First is the sequence of a gene called cytochrome B, and second is 16S ribosomal RNA. Scientists compare the sequence of these two genes in the sees product with that of a tiger. If the sequence matches, the claw is that of a tiger, else it is of some other animal. Wildlife Institute of India is working on developing a genetic database for determining the protected and other species. Other countries like Nepal and Bangladesh are employing similar techniques to curb illegal trade of tiger and leopard claws.
The CMS Vatavaran International Environment and Wildlife Film Festival is a unique initiative by the Centre for Media Studies, New Delhi. The theme for the 9th International Film Festival is Conservation for Water, with a special focus on climate change and water. The one-of-a-kind film festival in India aims to enhance the understanding of the natural world and its conservation. Take a look at this report.
The 9th CMS International Environment and Wildlife Film Festival, organized by the Centre for Media Studies at the Gandhi Smriti and Darshan Samiti, New Delhi, aimed to enhance understanding, appreciation and shift in attitude towards nature. The theme for this year's film festival was Conservation for Water, which delved into the issues of climate change and water. Environment activist Chandi Prasad Bhatt inaugurated the festival. At the 5-day event, 113 nominated films were showcased. Apart from the film screenings, the event highlighted ranges of activities like workshops and seminars focusing on the environmental, social and economic aspects of water conservation, and issues related to environment and wildlife conservation were organized. Special workshops for youth was organized on Rivers for Life and Climate Change, reporting in Indian Himalayan region.
The theme of the 9th Vatavaran is conservation for water, which is actually not water conservation, but conservation for water. Water has now become the goal in itself, it's not an end. What actually is the problem is that in this whole discourse of climate change and what's happening around us, we keep forgetting that what are we fighting for? We are fighting to preserve our environment. And in our environment, water is a very, very key element, so we are fighting to protect that. So conservation for water.
During the festival, various films showcasing different environmental issues were showcased. The films included Dado, that reminds us about the natural beauty of Coorg in Karnataka, which is facing pressure of unbridled development threatening its fragile ecosystem. Others include a documentary called Kitnashak Ya Vinashak on the harmful impact of pesticide. A documentary on global warming, Kashmir chapter, showcased the catastrophic effects of the phenomenon on lakes, glaciers and cultivation of crops like cherry, almonds and saffron in Kashmir. Apart from this, students participated in different competitions like poster making, drawing, and making crafts from reusable and recycled items. The event highlighted the connection between climate change and water crisis in a world struggling with global warming, climate variability, food and health insecurity, biodiversity loss, and environmental damage.
Another short break in here. When we come back, we bring to you some more news on science and innovation from India and across the world. But that's after a short break, so keep watching.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries.
Welcome back after the break. Let's now take a quick look at some more scientific innovations and developments from India and around the world.
Researchers at the Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati have developed a new material which can remove up to 95% of oil spill of different densities using super hydrophobic medical cotton. The material was used for absorbing oil in air and underwater. For this, the researchers turned medical cotton that has a water-absorbing nature into a super hydrophobic material. It can absorb up to 200 weight percentage for both heavy and light oils. The result of this study was published in the Journal of Materials Chemistry A. The H.K. Firodia Awards for Excellence in Science and Technology for 2017 have been announced. These awards are given every year to eminent Indian scientists for their world-class contribution to science. The H.K. Vijnan Ratna for 2017 has been awarded to Dr. A.S. Kiran Kumar, Chairman of ISRO, Bangalore. He has significantly contributed to Indian space program in important spheres of Earth observation, communication, navigation and developing indigenous launch vehicles. The Chandrayaan-1 and the Mangalyaan have carried key scientific instruments designed and developed by him. He is also the architect behind launch of 104 satellites in a single go and developing PSLV Mk3 launch vehicle carrying 4-ton class of satellite in. And Professor Ashutosh Sharma, Secretary Department of Science and Technology, New Delhi, will be felicitated with the Vijnan Bhushan Award. He is the founding coordinator of DST Thematic Unit. He has done a pioneering work in colloids, in film interfaces, adhesion, etc. He has over 10 patents filed to his credit. Scientists at the Ashoka Trust for Research in Ecology and Environment at Bengaluru and Indian Institute of Science Education and Research at Pune have discovered that non-protected areas near the Agastya Malai Biosphere Reserve, Silent Valley Mukurthi National Park and Kurg Wayanad in the Western Ghats are the major spots of rattan or cane, the light flexible climbing plants. Scientists have declared the need for urgent conservation of these species due to habitat loss and excessive harvesting. The study was published in the journal Plant Diversity. In a recent study, scientists have found that cancer cells can be targeted and destroyed with a metal from the asteroid that led to the extinction of dinosaurs about 66 million years ago. This metal, called iridium, is the world's second densest metal. It can be used to kill cancer cells by filling them with high amount of oxygen without harming other cells. The scientists at the University of Warwick in UK conducted this study. NASA satellite measurement this year has revealed the hole in the Earth's ozone layer, which forms over Antarctica, was observed smallest since 1988. The ozone hole increased drastically on September 11, covering an area of about 2.5 times the size of the US. According to NASA scientists, the hole declined through the rest of September and in October. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration (NOAA) and NASA collaborate every year to monitor the growth and recovery of the ozone hole.
And in the history of science, this week we remember Sir Chandrasekhar Venkata Raman, famously known as Sir C.V. Raman. Sir Raman was a renowned physicist and was born on 7th of November 1888 in Tiruchirappalli. His major research work focused around optics and acoustics. He is famous for his breakthrough research in the field of light scattering. He postulated that when light traverses a transparent material, some of the deflected light changes wavelength. For this principle, Sir Raman was awarded with the prestigious Nobel Prize for Physics in 1930, the first Indian to win it in the field of science. Sir Raman was also the first to investigate the mechanical theory of the musical instruments like the Indian drums, tabla, mridang, violin, sitar. The discovery was valuable in understanding how these musical instruments produced harmonious tones. Sir Raman was a Fellow of the Royal Society of London in 1924. In the year 1943, he founded the Raman Research Institute at Bangalore. Sir Raman was awarded with the highest civilian award, Bharat Ratna, in 1954. He continues to be an inspiration to scientists across the globe. And that is it from me and the entire Science Monitor team for this episode. If you've got any feedback or suggestions for our program, please do send them on our email ID news@vigyanprasar.gov.in. You can also write in to us at Vigyan Prasar C24 Qutub Institutional Area, New Delhi 110016. That is it for now. I'll see you again next week with another episode of Science News and Innovations. See you next time. Bye-bye.